Welcome back to the channel, guys. You guys seem to have really liked the High Elves faction preview video, and so I'm doing another one. This time it's a human faction, and I'm sure this will be one of everyone's favorite factions from Warcraft lore, the Scarlet Crusade, the edgy Paladin Crusaders, and I'm pretty excited to do this one. This is one of my, it might be my favorite human faction. And yeah, let's get into it. And also, I decided to put them on a human. I think this is a huge city. Yeah, huge city. It's all upgraded, has cannons, has everything, and you can upgrade it this way during the campaign as well. And yeah, and you can even see a I think it's labeled correctly, a Cathedral of the Holy Light, which is of course basically just the Catholic Gothic cathedral. But yeah, let's start off with the basic human footmen. All the human factions have this one. You know, not bad. The attack is kind of low, but they make up for it with the defense. Keep in mind that I upgraded the armor for all the units that can be upgraded armor-wise. So instead of 16, if you don't upgrade them, I think it's about 14, which is still pretty good for a unit that's pretty cheap. And also keep in mind that when you upgrade most human units, you will see a noticeable change in how they look. So the more their armor is upgraded, the more plate armor they will wear, which is really cool. So yeah, not bad. So let's move on to the next one, human pikemen. Just, you know, typical pikemen, kind of low attack. So if you're not dealing with cavalry, I would not recruit them. If you're not playing against a faction that uses a lot of horsemen, they're not worth it. And because you'll be playing against a lot of undead, most of the time, I would say they're useless because, yeah, you're mostly going to be fighting like zombies and ghouls and skeletons, so like crappy infantry units. Next one, human sergeants. So same thing, mostly good against cavalry, but they do have higher defense than the pikemen, so maybe a bit better if against infantry. So they're okay. Now the next one is a special unit that only the Scarlet Crusade can recruit, the Swords of Virtue. They look really cool. They have these amazing two-handed swords, and their defense is good, but their attack is good as well, 13. And they also can apparently inspire nearby troops, so they can boost morale, which is really good. They're effective against armor because they're using huge two-handed swords, so they have armor penetration. Very good stamina, excellent morale. Definitely get these guys. And I would imagine they would actually be really good at holding walls. So if like a lot of Scourge infantry are trying to climb up with ladders, they can easily cut them down. Next one is Shields of Virtue. They're kind of the opposite of the Swords of Virtue, so it's in the name. Their attack is mediocre, but their defense is really good. And they also have this ability to inspire troops, so they're pretty good as well. Next one is also a unique Scarlet Crusade unit, the Onslaught Crusaders. I kind of don't like how their armor looks, but very good. They also inspire other troops. They can make a shield wall, which is really useful. Decent attack, but really high defense. And then we have dismounted Paladins. I think literally every human faction has Paladins, and they're really good. High attack, really high defense, and they also have armor penetration. But what I think also makes them special is they have 3 hit points. So very, very durable. You have the high hit points and you have high defense. Really good at taking down most infantry and surviving. Then we have the Grand Scarlet Crusaders. Again, it's in the name. It's a unique Scarlet Crusade unit. Extremely high defense, very high attack. They inspire nearby troops, effective against armor, bonus against cavalry as well, which It's unexpected. And they're basically very similar to Paladins, but even better. And then we have human archers. All human factions have them. I would say they're pretty good, especially because they have long-range missiles. So a lot of other archer units in the game, they don't have long-range missiles. They're shorter range. So if you can recruit a bunch of these, they can be very effective. Just make sure you have infantry to protect them. And then human crossbowmen, same thing. All human factions can recruit them. I actually think the longbowmen, well, the human archers, they seem to be using longbows, but I think the human archers are actually better than the crossbowmen because the crossbowmen, their range of attack is a lot shorter, so not as useful. You want to try to take down as much of the enemy before they get within melee range. Then we have the human riflemen. They're okay as far as riflemen go. They are effective against armor because they're shooting bullets instead of arrows, but I would say the longbowmen are better. If you're going to go with a long-range unit, it's better to go with the longbowmen. And then we have priests of the Holy Light. They're okay. They're actually kind of... I would say they're pretty weak compared to a lot of other magic units in the game. They're on the weaker side, so if you can... Now, spellcasters in general are pretty OP in Warcraft Total War, so they're definitely worth recruiting, and they're kind of cheap for a spellcaster unit, but... So I would say early game they're pretty good, but later on you want to replace them with better spellcasters. Speaking of better spellcasters, we have the Inquisitors. Now, they're pretty good. Higher missile attack, longer range missiles compared to the priests, I think. And they also have this option of using flaming missiles. So you turn that on, and I think it does considerably more damage. Okay, next we're going to talk about cavalry units. So the basic human cavalry, all human factions have them. It's not that good. The really low attack, I would not suggest recruiting them. Then we have the Knight's Bodyguard, which your general units will usually have. This one is actually pretty good because defense is quite a bit higher, 24 compared to the human cavalry 14. That extra 10 defense points really makes a big difference. Pretty good cavalry. You can use them really effectively, and I've won a lot of battles because of this general's bodyguard. Next one, we have Knighted Shields of Virtue. So we talked about the Shields of Virtue earlier. This is a cavalry form, and pretty good. 24 defense. I think the stats are very similar to the Knight's Bodyguard. So the Knighted Shields of Virtue, they're a little bit better because their attack is higher and they can inspire the morale of nearby troops. So a little bit better version of the Knight's Bodyguard. So definitely worth recruiting. And we have human knights, which are they're identical to the Knight's Bodyguard, so really the same thing. And then we have these guys, mud golems. So they look really literally crappy, and the name's kind of lame. Like, what's a mud golem? It's just mud. But actually, if you look at the stats, they're really good. Some of the best. And it counts as a cavalry. It counts as a cavalry unit. It's some of the best cavalry in the whole game. They have 12 hit points. So you kind of have to kill them 12 times. And then their attack is pretty high, 23. And then the defense is insane, 40. Extremely difficult to kill. Now, in addition to that, all of that, they inspire nearby troops. They have a special attack. I'm not sure what that is. They frighten nearby enemies. Their presence is actively increasing the morale of your troops while lowering the morale of the troops that they're fighting on the enemy side. Crazy good. Excellent morale. Basically, very extremely low chance of them running away. Really, really good. Definitely get the mud golems if you can. And then we have mounted paladins. Extremely good unit. Great attack, really high defense, 8 hit points. These guys are like tanks. But in addition to that, they also have this trait, fast moving, and that's definitely true. I'm not sure if they literally fly over units, but when you send them to move, it looks like they're flying, and they move very, very quickly. So if you have like an emergency, if you think you're losing a battle, one of your flanks is getting attacked, you need to quickly reinforce it. These guys are perfect for that. Like, literally a hero unit, which makes sense. They're paladins riding griffins. It's very fitting. And then, lastly, we have a trebuchet, and it's just a typical trebuchet from Medieval 2. Nothing special about it, but definitely good in some situations. I never used it much, but yeah. And yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed a faction preview of the Scarlet Crusade. Many of you wanted me to do a human faction, so here you go. Give it a like if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of these. And see you guys in the next one.